Hi, my name is Bill Laws, and I'm the author of 50 Plants That Changed the Course of History, which was nominated for the prize. Plants are so ubiquitous, they're such a common feature of the world around us, that we rarely stop to consider the profound impact that they have on our everyday lives. This book, I hope, goes some way to telling those stories. I started work as a journalist when I left school, but I gave it up halfway through my career to become a gardener. And I've always had a great interest in gardening and in plants. I was asked to write a few books on gardens and gardening, and 50 Plants That Changed the Course of History seemed like the culmination of these different books. But in a way, 50 Plants That Changed the Course of History is the sort of the culmination of that work. It's looking at different plants and how they've influenced us, what kind of a role they've played in our lives, and really what we're doing to plants themselves. I mean, I noticed in the news yesterday there's great concern about how we're all getting so fat. We're all becoming fat people. That's because we abused and misused one plant in particular, the sugar cane. We all eat far too much sugar. So the book seemed like a way of bringing that sort of thing to our attention. If there's a message in my book, I think it's that we need to be aware not only of how much a role plants play in our lives, but what we're doing to plants. In the news recently, CO2 emissions have reached their highest rate ever. And that's because of the way we've misused fossilized fuels, which of course are only plants, you know, the ferns that were laid down over millennia and to form the coal and the oil that we've used. I think that we are, this century, we really have to do something about slowing that up. We need to be far more sustainable in the way we use plants. There are some strange and interesting stories in the history of plants. I mean, little stories like the way the New Mexican Apache Indian used the agave as a little sewing kit. They used the spikenard fiber as to do sewing. And then there's some big stories, and the whole business of dyeing, indigo, and the plants like that, and how in the 19th century countries raced against each other to produce chemical substitutes for those plant dyes. You could even say that the First World War was occasioned by German chemists coming up with the means of producing alternative dyes, substitute dyes, and actually gave them the resources, the financial resources, to mount a whole world war. The farming community have used plants to feed us, and I take my hat off. I haven't got a hat on. I take my hat off to the farmers who have laboured successfully to feed us. But there is a problem, and that is what we're doing to the planet. We are exhausting resources. We are farming in unsustainable ways, I believe. And I think if there's a message at all in my book, it's that we need to look at what we're doing to the land, because we absolutely depend on plants for our future. If the plants disappeared tomorrow, we'd be gone. One thing I'd like to say is I'm very sorry not to be with you for the presentation, but I am deeply honoured to have been nominated for this prize. Writing is a lonely business, and it's when occasions like this come along that you feel it's all been worthwhile. And I would very much like to thank the organisation and, of course, all the students who have put so much time and energy into this prize. So I thank you very much, and good luck for the future.